All right, we are officially live for this emergency Etsy sellers call because, well, Debbie and I have been going back and forth here for probably the last, I would say 30 days at least, to where we've been evaluating and looking at Etsy seller shops and also the education that's being, I guess, taught out there that is somewhat outdated and honestly, like, probably should not be followed right now. And if it is, you're probably going to have a really, really hard time. So we're going to be going over that on this call. We're also going, it's not all bad news. It's also some good news because I'm actually going to share with you what it looks like as far as the new way to do this and the way that we've done it and successfully done it and are going to continue in 2023. So that's really what we're going to be doing. We're also going to be answering any questions that you have. So this way here, you guys are ready and you guys are prepared for 2023. But then also we're going to do a live Etsy shop audit, which we've been given permission to do. So we've picked out of about 25 that were submitted. We've got a whole video that we're going to be doing and sharing here probably in the next week. So stay tuned for that. Which I should probably say, if you're listening to this on the podcast, stay tuned. If you're listening to this or watching this on YouTube, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel so you get these updates. But we're going to be doing a live Etsy audit of about 3 Etsy shops, breaking down and really using the framework that we have been using and that we're going to be using moving forward. This is fixable, but I can't tell you, and Debbie, and I know you can attest for this, we've had so many people that say, man, I just didn't realize that I was doing it the wrong way. I was just following what I was given as far as advice. So Debbie, I know you've been waiting for this. And I know we're going to dig in here and we're going to kind of go back and forth a little bit, but I guess just top of mind, like what's your thoughts on this right now? And like, what do you want to let people know?
All right.
Why it's so important to be here?
Yeah, definitely. You know, there's a little bit of obviously the word trending, trendy, and niche being thrown around way too often. And it's not in the right context because, you know, people are referring to t-shirts and mugs as a niche. And what is being influenced is basically to seek out what is trending, what is hot, what is the bestseller, and then, you know, to use certain tools to gather the titles and the keywords and try to make it different and make it your own. And basically, if that's what you're going to do, probably being on Etsy or building a brand is not going to be for you, because we're about teaching you how to literally build and establish a brand. Like when you think of brands, you know, we're thinking, there's so many that come to mind. Coach for me. Okay.
Right.
Coach has been around since 1941 and it was started by a husband and wife, I believe, in New York City. And throughout the years, they have stuck with their brand and they've niched down to things like, you know, adding wallets and watches and things for men and women. But they stuck to their brand and their niche. They didn't, you know, seek out what Kate Spade is doing or, you know, other brands. They stayed true to who they were. Yeah. So that's what I want to get across to people.
Yeah. I've got examples and stuff too I'm going to share with you guys. So this is kind of like a little mini presentation as well. Like I've put together some stuff. Like I said, we're going to do a live Etsy audit here towards the end. So we're going to, if you have any questions, like this will be like a consulting call as well. Like we'll actually help you if you have any questions. So make sure that you do that. The other thing I am going to mention here though, a little selfish plug here for ourselves, is we are going to be helping Etsy shop sellers and owners in the beginning of the year, January 4th. We have something we're calling our 7-day Cha-Ching Challenge. And we are going to be walking through all of the different things that we've done to build a solid brand, a good foundation, but then also how to get everything working so sales start to come in like clockwork. And that's why we're calling it the 7-day Cha-Ching Challenge, because we're going to be doing this over 7 days. So if you're interested in joining us and you have not yet joined us, go ahead and head on over to brandcreators.com/sales. And if you go there, you will see that page. And Chris, I don't know if we have the that little banner that goes on the bottom, but if you could drop that in there, if it is in our banners, that would be great. So, all right. So let's kind of get into it here. All right. Let's just kind of dig in, and then we're going to kind of see where this takes us. But I've got some stuff that I want to share with you guys, so you guys can see like the old outdated way and the new way. And by the way, if you guys are listening to this on the podcast, you guys can't see this, but I'm pretty proud of that artwork, by the way. Did that artwork myself. It's a picture of myself being shocked, because Debbie and I are constantly shocked by what people are doing. And it's not their fault. It's what is being taught. And, you know, I'm not going to say that everyone out there is teaching the wrong thing, but man, Debbie, you had shared with me an example, and I'm not going to publicly, you know, share the person, but you shared with me what was being taught. And then you showed me a result that was happening afterwards, and why these people don't stand a chance. And it's mind blowing. And I'm actually going to share with you guys an example of what that looks like. But this is an emergency. And the reason why is because we're like, man, if we can just get this out to so many people that are starting, or that are already started, but are just frustrated because they're not getting sales, that's who we want this to be for. So if you know someone that's selling on Etsy right now, or is going to be, share this with them. Okay. Share this with them, because this right here will at least give you the right vision of where we feel you should go. Again, you can do what you want, but if I'm recommending this to one of my kids to get started, or a friend of mine, this is how I am telling them that I would do it. Okay. It's just like this. So with that all being said, let's dig in here. In 2023, it is going to be very, very hard. Like I said, if you follow what I'm going to share with you of what's being taught, the problem is going to be, like I said, is you're probably going to get some listings up there, and then from there, you're not going to get sales. And I have people that say, I've got a shop that's been open for 6 months, and I've been following this model, and I've got no sales, or I've got like a handful of sales. And that's really frustrating. So that is not what we want, but that's what we're trying to help you with here, and trying to prevent from what's happening out there. The reality is this right here. This is what is being taught. Follow hot product trends, or follow just hot products, right? Not just a trend of product, because sometimes a trend will have products associated with it. But what we're talking about too, and one of the examples I'll share with you, is like, find that hot product, copy it, and sell it. Like, that's what's being taught. Like, maybe alter it just a little bit,
right? But
then from there, just go ahead and copy it. And then my third point here is, and then launch multiple products in multiple niches. Like, so don't go after the one, like, don't do that. Go after the next hot product that you think that you can basically copy and sell. So it's basically like, find hot product, copy, sell. Find hot product, copy, sell. Doesn't matter the niche. Doesn't matter at all. And that's where it's really, really, to me, dangerous to do that, because you're really setting yourself up for failure. If you have one product that does well, and you've launched 100 products, that one product is probably, guess what, going to get copied. And then you're going to be chasing the next product. This is what the old strategy looks like as well, right? My Awesome Designs. That's the name of my shop, right? My Awesome Designs. And then I find a bass fishing shirt that's doing well. I copy it. I sell it. I find something in the wedding niche. I go ahead and I copy and sell it. I find something in the baby niche. I copy and sell. Gardener, golf, horses. You pick the niche. And then that's my shop. That's it. I'm basically just throwing anything out there in my shop. And like Debbie likes to say, it's kind of like a glorified garage sale. Or I like to look at it as like, you're going to like Myrtle Beach and you go into one of those t-shirt shops, and it's just for everyone, right? We all know those shops, like, yeah, you can go in and buy 3 t-shirts for $25, but you're not going to go back there and go and tell everybody about your shop, right? Oh, I just went to this shop and I got this great t-shirt, right? That's what's happening.
And then right next door to that shop is another shop with the same stuff.
Exactly. There's about 25 shops with
Yeah.
all the same stuff, all
Right.
the same shirts, buying it from the same vendor, right? And
Exactly.
that's basically what you're doing if you're following this model,
Yes.
right? So this is what's being taught, right? I'm going to give you guys a real example here of and I'm not saying that this shirt is the one, but I'm saying like this is what's being taught. You're going to be basically going out there and looking and trying to find a product that is selling well, right? So you might start off and go, okay, I'm going to look at horse stuff. So you're going to go in there and then you're going to say, okay, I'm going to use a tool like Everbee and I'm going to find that shirt, right? So there's one here that's selling like 60, 80 a day, something like that, right? Or not a day, a month, right? And I'm looking at total sales. Wow, 1,703 on the one and 1,472 on the other. I'm like, yes, found it. All right. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this here. I'd rather be at the barn. Okay. And I'm just going to copy it. Basically just going to copy that shirt. And then I'm going to go ahead and sell it, but I'm going to be competing against this. $9.98, $6.99. But maybe when I found it, it was selling for 18 bucks or maybe 22 bucks. But what's happening here, and you can see where I circled that. And if you guys are listening, but you're not able to see this, there's 1,355 results for I'd rather be at the barn. 1,355. Now, Debbie, I know that you brought this to my attention because you said, this is what's being taught. I actually watched some of the video. I saw what was being taught. I went over, I looked up that shirt that was basically being said that was a good idea, a good trending hot product. And then all of a sudden, a month later, you got this right here.
Right. Right. They were all running to do the same thing. Now, as you can see, there's slight tweak variations, but the saying is the same. Everybody would rather be at the barn. What has anyone done to make this different, unique? Is it part of their brand? I bet you could click on any one of them and not one of them has anything to do with farm animals or horses.
Right. Right.
So.
And that's a big one for me and I'll get into that here in a second, guys, on why this is a big deal. But like, if you're selling this one shirt, but then your next shirt is a bass fishing one, you're doing so much work to try to sell one t-shirt. And all you're trying to do is find a new customer for that one t-shirt. That's your business. Try to find someone new for that one t-shirt. Because that same person isn't going to buy the one about bass fishing or the one about the baby that's coming or the wedding that's happening. Like, they're not buying that. They're not buying it, right? So all you are is basically a shop that creates t-shirts or mugs or something along those lines. That's basically going to have a saying that's selling well. Basically, we're looking at not even in this case, a design necessarily. We're looking at a saying. Someone is like, oh, I love that saying. I'd rather be at the barn. So then you try to be a little bit creative and go, I'll use a little bit of a different font. I'll just change the font.
Right.
You mean like my favorite one of these four at the end there, which is probably the only one that I'm able to create because it's just a block font. And I have no graphic design capability. And we may get into this in a second here, but you guys just touched on two things that I think are kind of important. And you kind of glazed over the two reasons that this is a terrible strategy. So I wanted to kind of recap that for people. One, Debbie, you said, or maybe it was Scott, you said, maybe when you looked at this, it was selling for $18. Now it's selling for $8. Right. So when we have something like that, we're now making less money for the same amount of effort. And yes, if you jump on a trend right when it starts, and if you guys have been in the e-commerce world for a while, you may remember the fidget spinner craze. And Scott, I know that gives you like the same look you have in the thumbnail of this video, right? The people that jumped in on that, yeah, they made a good chunk of money up front, but then they got stuck with a bunch of inventory. Well, if you're doing print on demand, you don't get stuck with the inventory, but you still want to have evergreen results for your effort. So if you jump on a trendy product like this or a trendy design like this, yeah, you might sell a shirt or two, but for that same amount of effort, if you're doing this the right way, right, the way that we're talking about doing this, you can sell this shirt for years to come. And yes, somebody else might come in and we might have to play with a little bit of pricing, but it doesn't go from $18 to, what is that one in the middle there, Scott? $6.99 and $6.90, right? Yeah. So they're not making money on that unless they own a silk printing shop themselves, right? Or a screen printing store. The other thing that you guys talked about is, and I think it was Debbie that said this, they probably don't have anything else horse related in their store. And so if we focus on doing this the right way, and I know we're going to talk about this here in a minute, but if we focus this on doing the right way, then they come in on this you know, I'd rather be spending time at the barn product, and they have 4 or 5 other things that they can buy from us. We don't have that if we're just chasing the trendy product. And so that's the thing I want people to pay attention to. What we're really talking about here is evergreen results for the same amount of effort versus a whole lot of effort that can get you very few results up front. And yeah, maybe you'll put a sale or 2 on the scoreboard. And I know we had Lisa Taylor said, yeah, this is me. I have 1 sale in Q4 this year. There's nothing wrong with that. But if we do this the right way, the way that we're talking about doing this, then we can sell this same shirt for 4 or 5 years without having to come back and redesign it. And I don't know about you, but I know Debbie and I know Scott are much bigger fans of, if I'm going to put an hour into something, I'd rather that last a year than a month. And if you guys disagree with me on that, feel free to jump in, but that's just how I feel.
Not at all. And I also want to add that, you know, a lot of the general t-shirt stores or general stores that you are seeing, and yeah, they have, you know, 10,000 plus sales. A lot of those shops started in 2020 when everyone was sitting home and had nothing to do. They were referenced as COVID shops. And you're going to compete with them where their history has already been. So their method of doing what they're doing works for them because they're already established. They've already have the history, the quality scores, but then you're going to be competing against them and spending a lot of money to try to chase that t-shirt sale.
Yeah, no, it's huge. And like you said, like there's t-shirt shops right now that have been there even longer than 2020, like 2013, right? Yeah. Those guys are established. They're a t-shirt company. That's what they did. They built a t-shirt company, right? It's going to be so hard to compete with those people. And that's why we don't want to do that. And there's just an easier way. And honestly, it's the easier way is because we know who we're targeting and we know who we're focusing on. And then it becomes easier to create products. And we don't have to worry about this t-shirt because there's so many more things we can do other than just t-shirts. That's another side of this, right? We're not just selling t-shirts. Like a very small amount of our sales are from t-shirts. Do we have some? Yeah. Do we have some sweatshirts? Of course, right? Why not utilize and leverage the design work that we've already done, right? So let's move on here. I've got more to cover here. And like I said, if you guys are just tuning in, we are going to be doing a live Etsy audit where I'm actually going to walk through what I'm calling our 3D triangle, which is really about figuring out what it takes to make this work. So this way here, you can validate everything before you go ahead and put all the work in. So let me go ahead and keep on moving along here. All right. So let's get into the new way, the big opportunity. If you guys have been listening for any period of time, and if you guys are here watching live, whether it's Facebook or YouTube, do me a favor. Have you seen the way that we've been talking about as far as building a brand, or are you new to this concept? So I'm just curious if you guys can do that in the comments, drop it in there. Let us know if you are in fact now focusing on building a brand in a specific niche. I'm just curious. So go ahead and drop that in there. All right. So the new way, let me just kind of breeze through it here, and then I'm going to break it down and we're going to talk through it. All right. The very first thing is focusing on one niche, not just going after all of the different niches that we can go into, like really focusing on one niche. Then from there, creating multiple products for that same customer. Because what this does is it increases the customer value. I can't tell you how many orders came through this year for my wife that were multiple items to one customer. Okay. It's not just a one-off horse shirt, right? There's the horse shirt, there's the blanket, there's the pillow, there's the plaque, there's the mug, there's the sweatshirt, there's all different things, right? Mm-hmm. It's all of the stuff that's catering towards that one. So while I'm in the shop, I might as well grab 2 or 3 other things because I know that the person I'm buying it for or myself, I want that, right? So that's increasing the customer value, which is a huge, massive thing, by the way, guys. All right. The second thing is you're going to increase your traffic. How? Because when you're creating these multiple products, all related to the same niche, you're driving targeted traffic in your niche because you have more pieces of real estate, more Etsy real estate, because you have more listings. All right. So that's that, increasing the traffic. Building the customer list. This is not talked about hardly at all. I don't hear any educators out there in this space, any gurus out there talking about building a customer list. Like we can build a customer list of people that might come back and buy more. So when we launch new products, they get notified and we're able to let them know, hey, we've got something new, or hey, we're running a sale. So building that customer list is huge. The next thing is when you are developing your brand and you're getting consistent sales, you're starting to build a seasoned shop, meaning you're known for that particular niche. Okay. And in this case, we're going to be able to rank faster because now we have history, right? We have a star seller rating. We have customer reviews. We have all of the different things that's going to help us rank faster instead of it being a barrage of different products in a variety of different niches. Etsy is going to help us reach more customers when this happens. One way is when someone favorites our shop. Okay. They walked into our bass fishing shop and they love it. They like it, or they favorite it. And then guess what? They're going to be notified, whether that's through us running a sale, boom, they get notified. Or if something was in stock and out of stock, they're going to get notified. So all of these different things that we can target that person and get in front of them again. And Etsy will help us with that. And then really bottom line is, and this is our way of doing it, and this is the big opportunity for anyone, is really becoming the number one go-to brand in your niche. Like not being you're not catering to everyone, catering to your niche. That's what we're doing here. So this right here, if you just, I mean, you should probably, I should have told you guys to get a notepad out because you probably should write this down, because that right there, when you understand the power in that, and then you identify your niche or sub niches, it becomes way easier. There's less work that you got to do mentally to figure out, oh, what's the next hot product? I got to find the next trend, right? And all of that stuff. We don't want to do that. So check this out. This is what it looks like as more of a visual. If you guys are listening, you guys can't see this, but what it is a graphic of a customer, one customer, and then there's 5 products. Well, would you rather have one product that can sell to that one customer, or would you rather have 5? Guys, in the comments, if you're here live, put it in the comments. Would you rather have one product to sell to that customer, or would you rather have 5? I'm just curious. Is everybody getting this? Please let me know that if this is making sense. Now, here's what happens after you do the 5 products. Guess what? You do another 5. Now you got 10 products. And those 10 products, guess what? They're possibly going to be sold to that same customer. Or someone might have came in from product number 8 and didn't see product number 1 until they got in your store. And then guess what? When they're in there, they might buy product number 1 too. So this is huge. If you get this concept, and this is business 101, by the way, guys, but on Etsy, everyone's trying to, let's go ahead and try to make the shortcut. Let's try to find the hot, trendy stuff. Let's try to go after that stuff and just keep chasing. But at the end of the day, if someone walked up to you and said, hey, so what do you do? I sell on Etsy. What do you sell? Well, I sell to the horse niche. Oh, cool. Right? It's something you actually can be proud of too. Not, oh, I run a shop in Myrtle Beach, just t-shirt shop. Like, really? Okay, cool. Yeah, I just get hot, trendy shirts and I just sell those. The neon, pink ones and, those green ones that we all got there at Myrtle Beach, right? Like, so that's what we're talking about. Okay. Now, this right here, what I'm sharing with you, if I go back here, the new big opportunity, if you look at all that, focus on one niche, create multiple products, increase customer value, increase traffic, build customer lists, rank faster. Etsy helps us with when we get favorited, become number 1, dominate the niche. This is what can happen. I just pulled this, Debbie, and you didn't see this yet either. No. So Lisa wanted her initial goal was 25,000 for November and December. And then as she got through November and she already hit 22, she goes, I'm going to go for 40. Well, she just crossed 40 as of yesterday.
That's
right.
Awesome.
So I just pulled this. So this is for not even 2 full months. This is for what are we at right now? I'm recording this on the 22nd of December, 2022. Yeah. So we're not even all the way through. Right. So pretty awesome. But the reason why, because all we did was focus on what I just shared with you. That's it, guys. That's the formula. That's the secret. Okay. Didn't go after trending stuff. Didn't go after a hot product that was selling in a different niche, that we weren't into because we were like, oh, it's an opportunity. Let's go ahead and try to sell that thing and be there first to market. Nope, didn't do that. We just thought about the one customer and thought about what else would they buy. That's it. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys as far as the new opportunity. That's a big one. Again, we're going to get into the, which I think when we do the Etsy audit, you guys are going to see how we think and kind of how this all kind of ties together. Debbie, anything you wanted to say there before we move on? Because we just covered a ton. Did I cover everything okay, by the way?
I think you did, Scott. I had some thoughts. Well, I saw a comment that someone asked, what is a trending niche on Etsy right now? That's what we want to get out of our mind.
Yeah.
We're not looking for a trendy niche. Try to focus on something that you would like to do, that you are knowledgeable in, that you would have fun being in that niche, and it would reflect on your designs. I think everyone needs to stay authentic to themselves, because that is what brand building is. You want to like it and enjoy it. And when you get up in the morning and you're ready to design, you're excited.
Yeah, I love it. Chris, you had something?
Yeah, one thing, because I know just going back and forth in the YouTube comments, I also saw that comment, Debbie. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yes.
Because I think one thing, and if you guys have been with us listening to this stuff, you probably already know what I'm about to say, but there's a ton of people who are hearing this for the first time, and we should probably define what a niche is, right? So a niche is not a product. And a lot of people in the Etsy world say, okay, I sell t-shirts. T-shirts are my niche. T-shirts are not a niche. T-shirts are a product, right? A niche is something people can identify as, or something people are interested in, right? So you might say, I'm a fisherman, or I'm interested in fishing. I like fishing, right? You're not going to say, I am a t-shirt, right? And so that's the difference, because it allows us then to go out, and instead of chasing a trendy saying on a t-shirt, we can say, okay, we sell stuff to fishermen. What is it that they would be interested in? Right? What are the products that appeal to them? What are the designs? What are the colors that appeal to them? And we can focus on that rather than having to chase the trend of a specific saying, or, you know, Printify just launched a new mug. Let's all go, you know, let's create as many designs as we can with that. We can avoid all of that. We can avoid that price deflation, Scott, that you were talking about, right? Where you start out with the $18 t-shirt and it becomes a $6 t-shirt in like a month because everybody else is selling that. If we focus on creating products for a specific group of people, based around something that people can identify as or be interested in, that's what we're talking about when we say niche.
Yep. Yeah. No, I think that's a huge one, because a lot of people do get that mixed up with like what it really is. So I always like to look at it like, think about, is there an audience right now that's talking about this thing, right? Is there a Facebook group out there? Is there a community out there of people talking about this thing? That's a good way to kind of think of it. Now, does that mean that you only have to have, you know, you have to have that in order to be a niche? No, that's just a good identifier to say, like, you know, is there a group that is talking about it? I mean, there's groups out there for everything, right? My son has a Dodge Dart, and there's a group out there for Dodge Dart. I'm like, really, Scotty? Like, Dodge Darts? Okay, soup that thing up, I guess, right?
And join that group and see what people are talking about. I did that a lot, Scott, in our last brand, if you remember. I joined the groups that were relevant to what we were building, and I let the people talk, and I listened, and I sat back, and I'm like, there's a need, there's a want, and they will buy it if we come out with it. And they did.
Yeah, it's very similar to what, I mean, Debbie and I, for any of you that don't know, like, we built an e-commerce business together, and then we sold it over about a 4-year period. And we followed this same exact process, even though we weren't selling that product, or those products, I should say. We had multiple products and SKUs, but it was all built around a niche, and really finding that group, and then saying like, okay, that group wants to buy products, so we're going to create products to sell to them. Right. And that was it. That's all our focus was like, okay, what else would they want to buy? What else would help them? What else would they need? What else would be a good gift? Like, any of that stuff comes into mind, it becomes so much easier. So much easier. So yeah. So what we're going to do next, guys, is I am going to walk you guys through an actual, like an Etsy audit. Like, Debbie and I, like I said, we've been submitting, or have been submitted, a bunch of different audits, because what we're going to do is we're going to do 3 Etsy shop audits. We actually are doing those for free. We actually do have Debbie and I do those as like private consultant. And what we'll do is we'll do those. But I figured, you know what? Let's go ahead and let's just do 3. And that way people can kind of see how our brain thinks and kind of like as an example. So what I did was I created one beforehand so Debbie and I can kind of go through it together. And it'll also walk you through the 3 core elements that I feel really need to be present. And if they're not, then you have to rethink it. Okay. So it's a way for us to kind of go through and kind of see, like, is this thing even, even having the potential to be good, to something that we might want to build out. So this is what I'm calling the 3D niche validation formula. Just came up with this, by the way. I was trying to think about something that, like, as we're doing this 7-day Cha-Ching challenge, which, by the way, you should join if you want help in the beginning of January. We're starting January 4th. It's going to be a 7-day long thing. And we're going to walk through our strategies for building everything out from our shop all the way to the internal, marketing stuff, and then to products and everything in between, that we've been using. So if you're interested, brandcreators.com/sales, and you can sign up for that. But this is really something that I developed because I thought, you know what? I want to go through and see, like, what is it? What are the things that we always build our foundation from, right? Our validation, because we always validate. We're not just like, oh, that sounds like a great idea, let's do it. We have to validate this thing. So I'm going to walk you through these 3. The very first one is desire or passion. Okay. And sometimes they could be the same, but desire could be, you're just interested in something now, right? You're interested in something. And like, my daughter is into beach volleyball. So that became an interest of ours in the last 3 years because that's what she's been doing. So we've been really involved in it. We've been learning a lot about it. We enjoy it, right? We're in that market now. We're in that group. So that's like a desire of ours and a passion, right? So that's just an idea of like how you would then come up with that thing. So you have to have that. You don't have to have it, but it's going to help you to have it. Let's say that, because you could do something that you're not interested in and still potentially be successful if it's the right niche, but you could lose interest if you're not getting results right away. And that's what we want to kind of get away from, is because we want you to be excited about it. We want you to have fun with it. Because if you're not having fun, you won't keep doing it. Right. So that's why the desire and the passion piece to me is pretty critical. Okay. And again, I'm going to walk you guys through a real example of this. So desire and passion. The next thing is, and this is a big one, is demand, the want. Is there a demand and is there a want for this, niche? Is there people in there searching for stuff, right? Because if there's no search, if there's no one looking for anything in this niche, then you're probably not going to sell anything. Right? We have to figure that piece out. So that's your demand and your want. And then the third one, which is another big one, is dollars. Is there dollars being made? Is there profit? Is there products being sold in this niche? So if we have all 3 of those, your success rate's just going to go way up, in my opinion. Desire, passion, demand, want, dollars, products. Okay. And that's the 3D niche validation formula. You might want to write that one down. And I'm going to walk you through the example here when we get into this audit. Anything you want to talk or, speak about what we just discussed there, Debbie?
No, I think you nailed it.
Okay. Great.
Next.
I love it. Drop the mic, right? Drop the mic. All right, Chris, any questions before we get into the live audit?
Yeah, so really what we're talking about here, Scott, is trying to find something where there's the overlap of all 3 of these, or are you just looking for overlap between the demand and the dollars or the desire and the dollars?
Yeah, well, I mean, the very, very first thing is like, I need all 3, right? But so what we want to do is, like, if we have the desire and the passion, but we don't have the demand and the want, then we really can't even move on to the dollars and products, because obviously let's say this. Let's say we had desire and passion and there was like 1 product selling. There's really not any demand and want. So they do all have to kind of like blend. They have to intersect somewhere. But then again, it comes down to, well, how much demand, how many products, right? And that does come down to like your goals, right? You may be like, I just want to make $1,000 net profit, per month. You might not need as much demand. You might not need as much, as many products. That's
Mhm.
totally up to you. You could go in a really sub niche. You can go really, really narrow because you're only looking for, a select handful of, products and, something that's going to sell every single, like there's an example I'm going to be sharing in the 7-day Cha-Ching challenge when we go through that. Cause we got multiple examples we're going to be sharing. And there's someone that's got only 6 products, but they're crushing it. And it's very, very niche, but they're probably doing, I'd say $3,000 to $5,000 a month consistently, but they're happy, like
gross or net.
Probably gross on that. I don't know their margins.
But if we just overlay basic margins, you're talking $2,000, $2,500 bucks with 6 products, which again, like that may not sound like world changing money to people, but again, like a lot of people are doing this on the side, right? If we figure, and Scott, we at one point looked up like what the average mortgage payment is, and I think it was like $1,200 or something like that, right? So that's 2 mortgage payments per month in profit. Right. Which I think is kind of bonkers. And Scott, if you pull that little graphic up for people again, the problem with the trends side of this and chasing the trends is yes. And if you guys are looking at this, right, you have dollars in the middle, desire, and then demand. And that chasing the trends does cover like maybe the little corner of the dollars and demand. The problem is that overlap shrinks and shrinks and shrinks over time. Why? Because as more people come in, because they see there's demand for that specific product, the amount of dollars there shrinks. And so that triangle, if you guys are looking at this, right, that triangle shrinks in size, and that overlap between dollars and demand goes down. When you are niche focused, when you are focused on something people are passionate about or people identify as, that dollars does not necessarily shrink. And in a lot of cases, the overlap between dollars and demand grows because people are willing to pay more for things that they very closely identify with and brands that they trust. And so when we're selling multiple products to the same person, they're not going to go shop around, right? No. Let's just use that example. If we were selling that t-shirt at $10, everybody else is selling it at $6. If I'm just going to Etsy and I'm typing in, I'd rather be at the barn, I'm probably looking for either a very specific color of that or the cheapest one, right? Because my my cousin who is a horseback rider doesn't really care if I paid $15 for it or $20 for it or $4 for it, as long as she likes the t-shirt, right? If I, however, am in that niche myself and buying that product for myself, I'm not going to go back to the Etsy search to say, hey, oh, I really like that. Let me save $1.50 and spend 20 minutes trying to find the cheapest one. I'm just going to buy it because I identify with it and I like it. And so as the seller, if we're able to niche down, we can actually eliminate the shrinkage of that dollars triangle by avoiding the competition. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah.
Can I just say this year, Etsy did a little Etsy year in review, and not all of it was like 100% accurate. But what was really cool to me is that this year I had 220 customers return to my shop. And that's what you want. Because they remembered me, they came back, they bought things last year, and they said, let's see what she has this year. And they were filling up the carts, and 220 people to come back. I was really pleased to see that. It made me happy.
No, it's and that's huge. Like when you understand that and you start targeting that and you start really building on that, that's game changing stuff right there. Guys, do me a favor. If you are here live, go ahead and drop in the comments. Is this making sense right now? Is this something that you guys are starting to see the bigger picture here? Let us know in the comments if it is. And if there's any questions, let us know that in the comments as well. I do want to say this. So Chris, on that example that we're going to be sharing in the 7-day Cha-Ching challenge it's like 6 or 8 products, right? Very, very niche. The reason why I'm sharing it is because I see a lot of opportunity to grow that beyond those 6 or 8 products that they're not doing that probably could 10x their sales. So that's the big thing for a lot of times. It's like, you don't know what you don't know. You know what I mean? Like you don't realize that because you're just like, oh, I'm just selling 6 or 8 products. That's all I can sell. And you're like, no, you're in a really good niche that you could sell a whole bunch of other things. And I think that that's going to make a really good example. So that way there we can share that. So with that being said, let's go ahead and let's dig in here and get into it. I want to do this here because I think it's going to be very, very helpful. And guys, do me a favor also in the comments. Is this being helpful? Is this valuable to you? because I probably should remind you of this. If you're on YouTube right now or Facebook, smash the like button and let us know that you're getting value. That would be amazing. And if you're not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, you should probably do so. There's a bunch of videos that we're posting 2 a week right now. And it seems like people are really enjoying them. So if you want to get notified when they are basically posted, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you do that as well. All right. So here we go, guys. The Etsy shop audit that we are doing. This here was submitted by Lisa, and she had given us permission because she wanted us to do this. So I chose hers today because I think it makes a great example for everything that we just talked about. So I believe it's called Shanty Monkey. Is that how you would say that, Chris? Do you have a way that you would say it?
I would have said shanty, like sea shanty.
Yeah, I would have said shanty too.
Okay, so let's go with Shanty Monkey. I love the name, by the way. It's fun. Yeah. And you know, the graphic looks good to me. It looks like a fun brand. Yeah. But in the email that she submitted to myself and Debbie was basically like, just started the shop like 3-4 months ago. And basically there's not a lot of direction. She's just kind of like playing, but did mention like streetwear is really kind of like where they were going. But wasn't sure if that was a good direction or not. So I just want to say, like right now, it looks like it had 4 sales when I took this. So 4 sales, it's a brand new shop. There are some things that I identified already that we could tap into, but let's kind of walk through it here together, guys, so you guys can see this. So right now, let's just say this is like a blank slate, although there has been products added in, I want to say the streetwear, but then also just some other random stuff, kind of like following maybe a trend. I don't know how the products were created, but let's just kind of walk through it here together. So here's the very first thing that I saw. I saw a backpack. I saw a jacket. I saw some sneakers, some pants. Again, so just like some just designs, right? Then on the left-hand side, on the items or the categories, it says signature Shanty designs, Tees World Cup, graphic tees. Now, Tees World Cup, I think trying to tap into the World Cup that just happens because that's a trend, right? That's a trend. That's some products that people are going to be looking for. You also want to be careful there because there could be some things trademarked there. So that's all I'll say on that. Graphic tees, sweatshirts, hoodies, jackets, Christmas hats, stretchy leggings. So the very first thing is in this shop, it does look like it's all over the place. So what we're going to want to do is when we do dial this thing in, we're going to want those categories to say exactly what they are. If it's streetwear sweatshirts, streetwear, you know, whatever, you know, maybe canvases, or maybe it's leggings or whatever it is, right? Mm-hmm. You would want that to be streetwear because that would probably be the main keyword that you would be going after. And then this one here, this is another category that I went into. This is, I think, just the signature Shanty designs. And it basically, like I said, there's some stuff about coffee things here. Looks like a bunch on coffee, sarcasm, something about being older, right? So a little bit kind of like, oh, let's tap into coffee lovers. Let's tap into people that are sarcastic. That's basically what I'm seeing right now as far as like t-shirts. And then we have some sneakers, and then we have some bags. So yeah, I think, so what's your thoughts so far, Deb, before we get into it?
Well, I like the designs, and I can kind of see where they're going with it. You know, the first thing I thought of when I landed here is, you know, with the sneakers, maybe tap into some of the skateboarders. And
I'm going to get there. Get there.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. Other than that, I mean, there's a lot of potential here. I can see they're creative, but you know, like you said, with the subcategories, they really have to niche it down. What does coffee have to do with streetwear?
Yeah.
Things of that nature. You want it to all flow together.
Yeah. And like, so to what you're saying, Deb, like, so if someone comes in here, let's say that they came in for a streetwear item, they came in here and then they saw a coffee shirt.
Right.
Right. It doesn't go right. But I see what they're trying to do, right? They're trying to, I think they started with streetwear and then said, streetwear is not really working. So let me go after some trending stuff, or let me go after some stuff that I can see selling, and let me just dump it in my shop.
Right.
That's kind of what I'm seeing.
Well, and also in regards to their titles, you know, people aren't looking for signature Shanty Monkey.
No,
they don't even know who you are yet.
Right.
Eventually they may, but you have to title those that what people are searching for. So think like the customer. What are, you know, you want to put that keyword streetwear.
Yep.
You know, punk rocker, whatever.
I think that's huge. Like right there, just one big takeaway for you guys that are new. Like signature men's Shanty Monkey is not doing anything for you. Signature doesn't do anything. Men's, yes, maybe. But Shanty Monkey, no one, that's not a search term, right? No one's searching for that. We're into our demand element right now. Is there demand for Shanty Monkey? No. Right. Is there demand for streetwear? Don't know. We'd have to look into it, which we will here in a minute. But that's where we need to go here. So this is a common mistake. And, you know, someone do it. You're going to make these mistakes, but hopefully if you guys are watching this and you are maybe just starting, we're able to correct this early, right? So this way here, you don't have to kind of go down the path of like, why isn't it working? It's like, because you didn't put anything in there that's got demand to it, you know? So we want to make sure that we do that. So let's look at this right here. So I basically just filled in down on the bottom there. We went streetwear for the desire and the passion, right? Streetwear, skateboard, surf, roller skating. That's what kind of like came to mind. I'm like, let's kind of go down those paths. Now, someone might say, well, aren't they like all separate niches? Well, you could say streetwear is, but streetwear, we know skateboarders are wearing streetwear. We know surfers are probably wearing it. We probably know roller skaters are, right? So that's kind of how you can take a main niche and then you can have all these sub niches underneath it, but they're still related, right? Anything you want to say on that, Deb, before we move in?
No, I think you're right. I think it would be more roller derby. Maybe there's
that could be.
Yeah. So I would do streetwear.
We could explore. Yeah.
Surf, roller derby, you know, outdoorsy stuff that hip, trendy, younger people. I mean, and older people are into it too, but that's the focus you want to have.
Yep. So basically we're starting here, right? So we're starting with the desire, the passion. We're like, okay, cool. Maybe you're into skateboarding and streetwear and that's where you're going, but you have all these other things that you could do. So let's just say, okay, we've done that. We've got that there. Okay, cool. So now we're like, okay, now the big question is there demand and is there want there in any of these areas? So that's where we're going to go next. So then what I did is I went and I typed in streetwear and immediately on the very top, this is I don't even need to look at search volume at this point. All I'm looking at is like, is Etsy giving me options in this category? Streetwear hoodie, streetwear shirt, pants, jacket, hoodies, men, ring, rug. So right away, I've got ideas, but then also I'm like, okay, if they're putting them there and streetwear is that first search that I saw when I did my initial search, there's a good chance that there's probably some demand there for that. But we're going to go a little bit deeper here when we get into the product validation, but that's the very first thing. Then what I did is I said, okay, let's try surfer. Once again, surfer gifts, bracelet, necklace, ornament, necklace, girl, art, and then mug. Okay. So again, surfer, possibly because there's already stuff that Etsy's saying like, hey, you might be interested in this stuff. The next one, skateboard gifts. I typed in skateboard for men, skateboard for kids, skateboard gifts for probably, I don't know, maybe girl, women, and then gifts. Okay. So again, not as many. Now, do you see that right there? Here I had more options. Here I had less. So skateboard gifts is a little bit more narrow, but if I just did skateboard, I'd probably have more. So again, this is a way that you can kind of explore the demand and if it's even being, you know, published, is Etsy even putting stuff out there? Are they creating subcategories for these, you know, for these different areas? And then this one here, skater. So skater actually had more than I thought, Deb. Skater dress, skater shirt, stickers, skirt, party, gifts, shoes. Okay. So now the next part of this equation is the dollars, the products. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the tool that I use all the time, and that's Everbee. And if you guys want to try it, I got a little link there for you. Yes, you will buy us a cup of coffee. We thank you for that. brandcreators.com/Everbee. And you can do I think 10 searches free a month. But here's what I did. I put in streetwear hoodie. And immediately I saw two at the very top. I looked at the estimated revenue in the last month. It's over $2,400 for both of these items. And it looks like they've had a total of 145 sales. The one had 100 or 541 sales. So there's quite a bit for that, just that one type of product, a hoodie. Okay. So I was like, okay, cool. Let's move on. What kind of hoodie is selling? Well, there's one right here. So we have a hip hop streetwear. So now I'm like, hip hop, huh? Maybe that's something else that we would go. Now, here we're looking at hip hop streetwear. That's probably a keyword we're going to want to look into, right? Would this fall under our streetwear brand? Yes. Okay. And what is this? It's a sweatshirt with stars on it. Okay. Is that something we could sell? Probably, right? It's a design that you're putting on a sweatshirt. Okay. So that's that. Check this out. It's been selling for 2 months. It's got 26 reviews. Monthly reviews is 13. It's gotten favorited 1,680 times. Now, what does a favorite do for me? It shows interest. It shows demand. Okay. Total sales, 145 in 2 months, 72 sales in the last month. Total revenue is $2,410. Any thoughts on this so far, Deb?
The only thing I want to reiterate is that, yes, this is a bestseller and it has the stars. It can fit in your niche, but you make your own design.
100%.
You want it to reflect your personality. Don't go make one with the stars and just add maybe, a lightning bolt or something.
Right.
Make it your own and cohesive to your style and your brand. But this validated it for you that you can make a cool hoodie too, naming, adding in hip hop, Y2K, and doing well.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, exactly. You draw inspiration. That's really what we're doing here. But we're really trying to just see if products are even selling at this point.
Right.
Like we're not even into creation yet. So that's all that. You can see here too, these are all the tags that they're using. So this is another cool thing that you can use with Everbee, right? Zip up hoodie, Y2K sweatshirt, clothing, streetwear, men's hoodie, like all of these different things, right?
Yeah.
So let's look at Surfer. So Surfer, I came up with a bracelet. So, 100 sales, $1,274, total sales, $2,537. Okay, so maybe we can offer some cool bracelets too. That would go with streetwear. That would go maybe with a surfing flair to it. Who knows, right? Just another way to validate that sub niche. Then we're going to look at the skater. Now this one here, actually, I really like a lot. I'm going to show you guys why. But when I was starting to do this research, I didn't think that I was going to land where I landed. So check this out. Roller skate small backpack sold 69 at $6,210. They've sold 492. And then we've got an ice skating jacket, it looks like. So it looks like a jacket that's like ice skating, like roller skating. Okay. That one sold 31 for $1,705, total of 100 sales. But again, we're just validating skating, skateboarding, surfing. They're all kind of similar, right? Streetwear kind of fits with all of those, right? So check this out. I found that they already sell backpacks. But it's signature Shanty Monkey backpack. Well, look at this. It's a backpack that holds roller skates. Selling for $81. Roller skate small backpacks. That's the keyword. That's what they're going after. It's not their brand. It's roller skate small backpacks. Rollerblade is in there, right? Quad, inline, skate, speed skate, him, her. So all of those. Now check this out. It's been live for 7 months. It's got 135 reviews. It's gotten favorited 2,033 times. It's got a total sales of 483. Total monthly revenue is $6,120. I like that. And going back to what they're already selling, backpack, or trying to sell, I should say. So by just looking at that, I'm like, okay, we could do a lot of different styles of backpacks. We could do hoodies, right? With that, we just validated that in the streetwear. So is streetwear and skateboarding probably skating, roller skating, any of that stuff?
Right. Skater skirts, those are big.
Skater skirts, like all of that stuff, right?
Yep.
So we went from, let's go back here. We went from this of like, we're all over the place I just ran through all of these different examples that we can land on, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of these different examples, all by just doing a little bit of research
Mm-hmm.
and really targeting a niche. So here's the roadmap for this brand if it was ours. Focus on one niche. Obviously, streetwear is like the main, and then we're going to add some sub niches, probably starting with the skating, right? Create multiple products, increase the customer value by creating those multiple products. You're going to increase the traffic by creating more products, right? See how it all kind of compounds on itself? And then we're going to build that customer list, and we're going to be able to rank faster, and we're going to be able to get in front of those people more often, because if they purchase something and they favorited something, we can then notify those people, right? And I mean, check this out. If I go back here, what was it? It was 1,600. Where was it? Favorite. No, 2,033 favorites. Do you guys realize that if I ran out of stock with that and then I come back in stock, all those people are going to get notified?
Yep.
That's pretty solid, guys.
Mm-hmm. And we don't need to do a thing for that. Etsy does it for us.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
100%. So that's the roadmap, guys. That's the roadmap from this Etsy audit that I would give to Lisa, who's doing this. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share with you guys on that. If we have any questions, we do have a little bit of time for some questions. If you guys want us to answer any, drop them in the comments. But if you guys are listening on the podcast, if you guys are watching this later on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, if you want us to help you go through this, we're actually going to do a live call for our 7-day Cha-Ching challenge as well. And we're going to be doing 7 days worth of training. If you want to jump in, head on over to brandcreators.com/sales. We still have discounted tickets available depending on when you're listening to this. If you're listening to this after the 4th, we will maybe be doing the live again in the future. But as of right now, we're just going to do it this time, see how it goes. And that'll be on January 4th, but you will need to purchase a ticket before we actually go live. All right. And that will be a hybrid. So anyone that's wondering, how is that going to be taught? We're going to have a daily lesson that will be in the morning. You can watch that at any time, though. It's going to be dropped in the training portal in the morning. And then at the end of the week, we're going to do a live Q&A and some Etsy shop reviews and product reviews and things like that. So if you're interested, go ahead, grab your ticket for that. We'd love to have you. All right. So with that all being said, we got any questions?
We have a couple coming in. The first one is about the product magic course, actually.
Oh yeah.
If they have E-Rank, can they still do that? The answer is yes, right? We use Everbee to walk through that, but really all we're doing is validating a little bit of demand, right? So it's not something that you need to worry about. We prefer to use Everbee. That's just the tool that we use, but you can use any tool that'll give you some of that sales data to help validate. Yep. And Scott, I wanted to go back to that example really fast, because streetwear technically is a niche, right? But what you just did in that breakdown is you pointed out a couple things. And I think the two big problems that you pointed out with that approach, one, while we do advocate building a brand, when we are starting, it does not mean we should be doing all the things that we see brands doing. And Debbie, you brought up Coach at the beginning of this call, right? And the way that they are titling their products in this store is the way that somebody like Coach or Fubu or somebody, right? It'd be like Fubu Backpack 2023, right? Because that's what somebody would be searching for. If somebody doesn't know what your brand is or who your brand is, you have to focus on the product demand side. Right. Once you have the brand built and you know that there's search volume, right? Because you have a tool like Everbee that's showing you that you're getting search volume for whatever, I forget the name of the monkey, Shanty Monkey, right? Then maybe we can start to retitle those products, but we want to be focused around what people are searching for. Again, coming back to that overlap of those three things, the demand side of this is going to be product focused to begin with. So we have to focus on the products. And then the other thing I think that they were doing that's kind of a common thing that we see is they were going a little broad with it. And what you just showed, Scott, I think is the step that too many people miss, which is let's go find specific things that people are searching for if they are a fit for our brand, right? Even though Shanty Monkey wants to be a streetwear brand, and there's nothing wrong with that long term. And if you guys disagree with me on that, let me know. But we have to find a way to insert ourselves in the market. And somebody had asked earlier, is moms too broad of a niche, right? And the answer is moms are definitely a niche, right? But moms as a place to get started, just like streetwear, is probably too broad. We have to start to generate that demand by finding specific products. So in the case of something like moms, maybe it's newborn moms, right? Or moms of newborns, I guess would
Yeah,
be the right way of saying that. Soccer mom, right?
baseball
Stay-at-home mom, working mom, right? Same thing here. We have to say, okay, streetwear. Streetwear could cover skaters. It could cover inline skaters. It could cover roller skaters. It could cover all of these people. Let's find specific products that some of those people are looking for, so that we can say streetwear for streetwear backpack for inline skaters, or streetwear backpack for roller derby women, right? Some of those kinds of things. And start to generate that demand inside of the store. People either go too broad and then they end up in the trend chasing for, you know, hey, this is a mom's t-shirt. I sell to moms, so I'm going to include this. Or they forget about the product side of this, where you do have to take it a step down and say, eventually I want to be a streetwear brand, right? Eventually I want to compete with Scheels or Dick's Sports and Outdoors, but I'm not going to start by selling all of those things. I have to start where the demand is, which is going to be at the specific product level. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, and I would say, like, again, like looking at all of those, right? You might say, I want to go and just go after the hip hop, right? Streetwear kind of thing. Right. And so if that's the case, then that's where you're going to go. But does that mean that you can't put in surfing stuff, or you can't put in skateboarding stuff, or you can't put in, this roller skater? No, you can. And then what's going to happen is you might see that something really starts to grab, and then you might build that out wider, deeper, versus it just being like, oh, I can only talk about this, right? You are going to probably, I mean, we did that this year.
Yeah.
You know, my wife started getting requests for certain items, right? Certain styles. And then all of a sudden she's like, wow, I got to start doing more of that. And I'm like, yes, but you wouldn't have known that.
Right.
Until, because it was just a little bit different. It might be like, you know, someone's like, well, I'm into inline skating, not roller skating. Can you do something that is more for roller skating? Okay. Right. And if you start getting a bunch of those requests, then you're like, let's do that.
And customers will ask, because I've had that often, and I'm like, sure, I can do that. So.
Yeah. That's good stuff.
If I'm not new to selling on Etsy, but I just started a second shop, should I take the Cha-Ching challenge? Scott, what are your thoughts on that?
You know, I probably would say yes. And here's why. I mean, sometimes even though you've done something, it doesn't mean you've done it right. Right. So the way I look at it, I mean, unless you're confident, you're like, no, I did everything right, I got everything down. But for me, the way that I look at it, whenever I'm like being taught by someone, is like, I want to go through your process if that's the result that I want to get. And I just want to make sure that I've got all the boxes checked. So what we're doing is we're literally leading people through as if we were starting a shop from scratch. Like Debbie and I have been going back and forth this whole week preparing for this thing, with a lot of different, lessons that we're putting together. But really it's from the ground up. So I would say, if you're totally confident that you've done everything right and you got it, then you're good. Right. But if not, then I'd go through it. I mean, for the guys, the small investment of we're building a business here. Right. And a lot of times people, they don't realize that. Even like people like with Etsy ads. Well, I don't want to spend $2 a day. You're starting a business. You need to get awareness, and you need to make sure that you are getting the right exposure, and even stuff like that, like keyword stuff, right? Like, so we're going to get into a little bit of SEO and creating a good listing and what has worked for us. You might find one or two things that works better now for you, and that makes all the difference. So it's really up to you. I would say yes. But again, if you feel as you got it, then you got it, and just do it.
Do you need to put somewhere on your page that you customize items or take requests, or do people just reach out? You can, I guess, like in the about, but let's say somebody finds a t-shirt and it has like a little character on it, right? Like it has that monkey on it that we were just looking at, and they go, oh, that monkey has blue eyes. What if that monkey had green eyes? They're going to send you a seller message and say, hey, can you make this, but with green eyes because my son has green eyes or whatever, right? Like that's just going to happen. if you know, and the other thing that we're kind of advocates of are having some products that are customizable, and that becomes very obvious, right? Because then when they hit the listing, it's got the option for customization right there to change out the name or the date or the location or whatever it is. For email marketing, is it possible to send unique emails to different niches by having one account? Yes, you can do that. We typically like to keep those things separate just because that way you don't accidentally send it to the wrong people. But if you want to narrow that down and you have multiple stores, you can do that with ConvertKit or Aweber, or basically any email marketing service will allow you to do that. So you don't have to worry about that. When you pick a niche, is it just a matter of your about page, titles, descriptions, tags, and should the niche be in your title, or is there something else to it? So yes, obviously, if you're picking a niche, you're going to include that in the naming of things, and you're going to include that in the About Us section, because if somebody goes there, you want them to know that you're serving fishermen, or that you're serving deer hunters, or that you're serving roller skaters, right? But it's also going to be in the products that you serve to those people. If you are going after streetwear people and all you're selling are pens and mugs, that's a weird fit for them, right? So you have to, and that's kind of the point, Scott, I think that you were making here at the end, which is you have to find the products people in that market are looking for, and then apply your creative genius to them to be able to get that to work. Otherwise, you can create the world's coolest streetwear mug, but no one is searching for streetwear mugs, so nobody really cares. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, 100%.
100.
Yeah.
Have you guys run into any issues with Etsy reserve funds?
No.
So when are you planning to launch another 7-day Cha-Ching challenge? I don't have an Etsy store yet, still in the research phase, and I'd like to enroll after that. So we don't know when or if we're going to do it again. Chances are we probably will, because the feedback we've gotten, even though we haven't even gotten into it yet, is that people are very excited about it. I would say, and Scott, this is something you and I have talked about, and I know you and Debbie have talked about as well. Do people have to have their niche picked to get the most out of the 7-day Cha-Ching challenge, or can they come in as a newbie and kind of learn the niche process as they go through that, and then just have the Cha-Ching challenge in their back pocket for when they're ready?
Yeah, I mean, okay. At the end of the day, we would love for everyone to have their niche and everything is done, right? And I would probably say, because we have enough time right now, I would go through the Etsy Product Magic training that we have, because that'll help you identify the niche, because we do go through that in that class, and then we go through product creation. So that would be something that I would say, if you're not clear, I'd go through that first, and then from there, a 7-day Cha-Ching challenge. And I know there's some people that join the 7-day Cha-Ching challenge that are going to be launching their Etsy business in 2023, and they want to basically have the framework. And so that's, again, another option. But we also want people that have a shop, because as they're going through this, we're hoping that at the end of it, that your little cha-ching sound starts to go off on your phone, right? That's the idea here. So, I mean, the whole thing we're doing over the 7 days is to get everything optimized. It's really about optimizing everything, building the foundation, getting everything dialed in. And then on the 7th day, let's go ahead and turn on some sales. Like, that's what it's all about. But can you go through this and then say, I'm going to use this as my framework? Absolutely. Like 100%.
Somebody just said the Etsy Magic course on selecting a niche was great. It helped me a lot. And I think that's cool, because that's really what this is about, right? Yeah. And the Cha-Ching challenge is about, once you're kind of there, getting you to have that Cha-Ching sound. And I will say, just a word of caution, if your phone's on vibrate, it won't Cha-Ching, but it will vibrate, and you'll still get that notification, right? Somebody asked us how they get that sound on their phone, and step 1 is take it off vibrate. Step 2 is make a sale on Etsy, right? That's all you have to do. As long as you have the app installed, you'll get that notification. If you are looking for that course, Scott, they can go to brandcreators.com/magic. If you're trying to do the niche selection stuff, that's where I would go. And it's really inexpensive, quite honestly. And was that about 3 hours all in, if I remember correctly?
Yeah. That was, so, it was about 3 hours. We did some Q&A, and then Debbie and I sat down for another hour, and we did a whole bunch of frequently asked questions, and we addressed all those. I think there's like 19 or 20 of those in there. Well.
But you can do it on your own time.
Yeah.
It's all broken down in modules. It's wonderful. So
Yeah.
And that I think is the important thing, right? Because we are coming up on January 4th, as of the time of recording this, which is when we're going to be doing the first version of that Cha-Ching Challenge. And I know Christmas is coming up, but if you're sitting in the Northeast like I am right now, and there's 4-ish inches of snow outside, you've got nothing else to do today. It's not like you're going to go Christmas shopping or whatever. So if you're struggling with this, go through that course right now, and you have plenty of time, even if you don't get to it till after Christmas, right? There's a whole bunch of days there between the 25th and January 4th where you can go through this. It is a very thorough roadmap on how to do this, but it's only a couple hours on the training side. It's very condensed down, and you can go through that on your own time and really have the niche stuff nailed down before January 4th. If you're listening to this when we're recording this, if you're listening to this after that, you can still go through it on, on your own time and be able to do that. But quite honestly, if you go through that, even if you go through it 2 or 3 times, which actually a lot of people end up doing because they watch it the first time just to get the idea, and then they have their list of ideas and they come back and watch some of the validation stuff that we do over and over again, you can do that too, and then go through something like the Cha-Ching Challenge once you have a solid idea of what your niche is. But Scott, to your point, if you jump into the Cha-Ching Challenge and you just want to get that one, that's going to be yours forever. And somebody had asked, is this going to be online or offline, right? It's inside of an online portal. You'll be able to log in and get the training. You can download it to whatever device you want to have it on, right? To take it with you if that's a concern for you. And we do have a lot of people that like watch it on the subway or, whatever. They just download that training and listen to it while they're going to work. You're going to be able to do that even if you don't have everything perfectly dialed in. And I think that's kind of the key to something like this, is that even if you're not perfectly ready for it, you'll get it. You'll be able to go through it. You'll understand it. And then as you start to really drill in on the niche stuff, you can make that even better.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Cool. Any other questions, Chris, before we wrap it up here?
What company do you recommend for starting an email list with? We like to use ConvertKit. Aweber also directly integrates, and so if you've never started, that can be a good go-to source as well. Yep. I think that was it. If anybody else has any and you want to sneak them in, go for it. But other than that, I think we're good to go.
Yeah. Well, let's wrap it up. Debbie, let's give your last minute advice for anyone right now. I know that you were like, man, I can't wait to do this emergency live call because it's just eating you up that there's so many people still being, I kind of want to say misled. I mean, did it work in 2020? Sure. But is it what's working now? Are you going to be gobbled up by everyone else's competition? Probably. So here's your chance. Like, what do you want to,
my words of wisdom is get the word trendy out of your head. Get the word bestsellers out of your head. Focus on a niche, validate it, and get your wheels turning. Get excited about it. Feel the burn and be ready to say, I am going to start a business. Not just throw spaghetti at the wall on an Etsy shop because I want to make thousands of dollars a month. I hate to disappoint you, but it will not happen unless you have deep pockets that you can spend on Etsy ads and, get a few t-shirt sales. But the fact that you guys are all here tells me you are serious. And if you succeed, we succeed because we taught you well. And that's what it's all about. So.
Yeah. And let me just say this too. I mean, we had over 80 plus people on here live. Right now, we still have 80 people still here live, right? That means there's 80 people right now that we were able to get this message out to. I want to get it out to more people, right? And so, guys, if you could share this, that would be amazing. Or just tell someone like, hey, listen, this is what we should be doing, right? As if it makes sense to you. And if it's something that you do want to follow. But again, just like Debbie said, like my thing is like, whether you join one of our trainings or not, forget that for a minute. This here today, if this could be something that you look back a year from now and go, man, I was so glad that I came to that live that Scott and Debbie and Chris did, man, that saved me. Right. Or that helped me go through that, that year of aggravation. Right. And it's a win for us. Right.
For sure.
Do we want you to join one of our trainings? Absolutely. We'd love you to. We want to be your teacher. We want you to be one of our students. We want to see you succeed. But at the end of the day, I've been at this a long time. I know that just helping people, it'll come back to us, right? So I just want you guys to win, right? Whether you join our paid stuff or not. This here is hopefully something that you can say, wow, I've never had it explained to me that way. It makes perfect sense. I'm buying into that.
Yeah.
Because that is from our results in the past, not even just Etsy, building businesses. If you can cater towards a niche, just way easier. And it's just so much, just faster to get people to where they're buying more stuff, where your business grows and you can make more money. Bottom line. So, all right. I think that is about it. We went on really long, but this was important. And it was an emergency. I hope you guys realize that. I wasn't kidding.
No, we weren't kidding.
Emergency.
We've been dying all week to do this. So
this is a red alert.
Showed up.
This was a red alert. Like, let's go. All right. All right. So that is going to wrap it up. My last little call to action here, guys, is a couple of things. Number one, if you're listening on the podcast, thank you so much for listening. Leave us a review on iTunes if you haven't done so already. Let us know, was this valuable? On YouTube, same thing. Smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe if you want to get updates from us. On Facebook, stay engaged. Let us know if you have any questions there as well. But we really just want this to get out to more people, to help more people. And we want you guys to win. Bottom line. All right. So guys, that is going to wrap it up. If we don't talk to you beforehand, have an awesome, amazing holiday and enjoy it. And get ready, because 2023 is going to be awesome. I am fired up. Debbie is fired up. Chris is fired up. We can't wait to take people through the 7-day Cha-Ching Challenge and get that sound happening on your phone. So once again, guys, thank you so much. Take care, take action, and we'll see you soon. Take care, guys.
Take